reaps. Jonathan's voice a haunting thrill. With every tale he bends on will. Echoes whisper, the night draws near. By the firelight of fears collide. The Carolina storyteller, our guide. Through the spooky, the feathering fight. Fables of darkness igniting the night of the night.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Carolina Storyteller. I am your storyteller, Jonathan Phoenix. It's a pleasure to have you guys here with me. We are back to video recording for episodes, and I think it's really great, and I'm really happy to be doing that. And actually, because I've got a new laptop and new equipment, I'm actually going to be able to do some very interesting things, which I'm really happy about, and I think will sound really great when it's done. It just seems to be like a reason to cheer. No, thank you. Hold the applause. Hold the applause. But seriously, we've got a lot of great things going on, and I'm really happy about those things that are going on. We've got Valmont that's going on. We've got Not Just Paranormal going on. We're going to be getting sponsors, which are going to help to improve the show as much as possible. So everything with Carolina Storyteller seems to be going great. It seems to be getting ready to go into this. Well, we're already into the third year. This is the second episode of the third year. But today, for you guys, I know I said I was going to do 2 stories this episode this year. But this episode's actually going to be the Fearsome Fabled Foursome. I'm going to hit you with the tales of 4 separate cryptids. They're on our now. If you've been watching Not Just Paranormal, you might know that we have the National Cryptid Championship going on, which is, we have these battles between cryptids. See, the first one was this past week, and it showed that the Alabama white thing lost to the Maine Spector Moose. And that's where we're going to start, but we're not ending there. Because if you go right over here, my friends, and ignore that, you'll see that this week it's the Arizona Mongollon Monster versus Maryland's Chessy. And you know me, I love cryptid stories. So why not share the tale of some cryptids with you all? So let's get started with the Alabama white thing. Now, the Alabama white thing was first sighted early in the late 1800s, early 1900s, decided. It was a creature that stood over 8 foot tall, pale white, hairy, with glowing red eyes, like amber light, like red lights that shined out. This creature really, it attack, it move around. It's very scary. The first sighting, the young man claimed that as he was going through the woods, he sighted this creature, and the creature came after him, and he had to run and hide in a tree. A few years later, it was sighted again. Enjoying school late this morning by a few hunters who were out in the area. They claimed that the creature changed shape as it lumbered down to attack them. Other sightings of the Alabama white thing have claimed that it had the head of a cat and almost the body of the kangaroo. The Alabama white thing has plagued part of Alabama for almost a century now, with various appearances of the creature coming out from the woods, stark white, chasing random people around. No, those who would say that, well, it's not possible that this thing actually exists, they claim that it's an escaped gorilla or something like that. But how is an escaped gorilla, honestly, and you tell me this now, how does an escaped gorilla stay around for over 100 years and terrorize people? You explain that to somebody, please. You're not going to, because quite frankly, it's just not possible to explain. There is no way to explain that uh, Alabama white thing is what it is, without saying that, you know, it's paranormal, because a gorilla just doesn't live that long. It doesn't happen. There's not anything that I can say about that other than the fact that a gorilla doesn't happen. So, we've now effectively stated that the Alabama white thing is probably, saying probably not going to be a thing that is necessarily normal, which keeps it as paranormal. But the Alabama white thing story isn't the only story of a spectral white creature. Last week, the Alabama white thing went up against the Maine Spector Moose. And at first, you think, well, it's a Spector Moose. What does that mean? It means it's a gigantic ghost moose. Okay, this thing stood 15 tall with horns that had 44 points on them. A Spector Moose was seen in the woods of Maine first in 1906 when he was encountered by a hunter. And the hunter took a shot at the moose, and the moose didn't like it. You know, I have said recently in a TikTok that if you're going to go into the woods in the Appalachia, your best bet is to not take a gun, because it's just going to piss off whatever's out there. Well, this is an instance of where somebody took a gun and they pissed off what was out there. Really, honestly, it was kind of stupid. They shot at it, and so the moose chased them until they had to hide in a bear cave almost the entire night while the moose paced nearby. This wasn't the first occurrence. Another hunter, a few years later, encountered the Spector Moose. This time, he hid under a group of fallen trees, and the moose circled it for 6 hours, occasionally jumping over his hiding spot. And finally, of course, the moose just lost interest and gave up. Now, we fast forward a few years, and a group of hunters from New York just happened to be out there hunting moose, and they happened upon the Spector Moose. The Spector Moose chased them for nearly a mile as they ran through the woods back towards their vehicle to get out of there. A last report came from a hunter in 1965, and this is actually where we get the actual size of the Spector Moose. He found the Spector Moose, and he shot the Spector Moose 5 times. He said that the shots either went through or bounced off of the creature. The creature proceeded to chase him and chased him up a tree, and then sat there watching him. Now, while the other people were in hiding places where they couldn't physically watch this moose, they were hiding, duck and cover, not able to look out and see what they were hiding from. This guy was able to look down and watch the moose. He said that for hours the moose circled the tree, occasionally running up like it was going to ram the tree and then backing off. During this time, he was able to realize that the moose stood around 15 foot tall at the shoulder. For those of you that are taking note, the average moose stands 18 foot tall at the shoulder at full size. This is your average full-size moose. They're typically not above 9 feet. Now, granted, they're the largest horse-like animal there is. I mean, moose are just gigantic. Let's not forget that moose are capable of diving underwater and staying underwater for some period of time. In fact, did you know that a predator of the moose is actually the orca? Because in Alaska, when the moose go down, sometimes the orca are over there and the orca can eat the moose. But anyway, that's beside the point. This moose, I think, could take out an orca, because in one horn alone, the man tree counted 22 points. The average moose has 14 points, so that's almost 8 points more. And when you add that all up, that means there's 44 points on the horns of this gigantic moose, this gigantic white moose. So, on not just paranormal, the white moose, clearly based off size, in fact, nothing really hurts it. It won against the Alabama white thing. Sorry, Alabama, you guys lost that battle. But moreover, in comparison, while the Alabama white thing may be terrifying and may be a shapeshifter, it has never treed people for 6 hours. And every time somebody sees the moose and they piss it off, it keeps them. It seems to hold a grudge. The Alabama White thing just kind of is a one and done. It sees you, it scares you. So that means we got to fast forward. We got to fast forward to our newest monsters. Um, this coming week, it's going to be the Mongollon Monster. Now, this is from Arizona. It is a southwest version of Bigfoot. This creature is rumored to have bright red eyes um, and stand. I don't believe I know how tall it stands. It's 10 feet tall. Yes, stands 10 feet tall. Now, the origins go all the way back to Native American folklore. The Mongolan Rim is an area named for the Mongolan culture which inhabited that region thousands of years ago. And their stories often refer to this mysterious creatures that roam the forest. The indigenous Apache and Navajo have shared tales of this large, hairy creature that they call the Mongolan Monster. These stories were not only for entertainment, but as a warning for going out into the wilderness for the things that get you. There have been numerous sightings dating back to the 1940s when ranchers in the region would state that they would see a large, hairy figure moving through the trees, walking on two legs as if a man. In the 1970s, there were campers that were out in the region one night when they began to hear a noise around their campsite. Upon looking out, they saw this large, nearly 9 foot tall, hairy figure investigating their campsite. And they quickly zipped themselves up in the tent, cuddled up, and sat there scared for the rest of the night. When they woke up, some of their food was apparently gone. So this creature was able to identify food and take food. The Mongolan Monster does have something unique. It was last seen in 2016 when a group of hikers encountered the creatures while exploring the Mongolan Rim. The creature was not necessarily violent with them, but I mean, it's freaking huge. So they were obviously terrified and scared. But it kind of went on about its way and let them go in peace. So what does this thing look like? Well, it stands between 7 and 10 foot tall, depending on what you ask. It has long, shaggy, dark brown or black fur, a very broad, muscular build. And one of the weirdest things is the elongated face. It has a very elongated face. Not like Bigfoot, they say, or the skunk ape, or even the Alabama white thing. This has a very elongated human-type face with deep-set, glowing red eyes. They have heard it howl and scream and echo back sounds similar to words that it's heard. Not like they're saying it, but it's kind of echoing the sound, kind of like a mockingbird would do. And they can hear these sounds throughout the forest. It moves silently, as if it's able to maintain an element of stealth, even though its size is so massive. The creatures have been seen scavenging for food in campsites, and they leave behind extremely large footprints. Now, I know what you're saying, John. This just sounds like another version of Bigfoot. Well, so does the Sasquatch. So does the Yeti. You know, it may be a version of Bigfoot, but it is not necessarily Bigfoot. It is something similar. Everything has different traits. That's like saying, John, you're just a John Candy because you're a fat guy that makes funny jokes. No, I'm not John Candy. John Candy is totally different and extremely hilarious and talented fat guy who we wish made more movies, but unfortunately he didn't get to. And Uncle Buck, his version of Uncle Buck is still the greatest. Don't ever question that. So yeah, he may be similar to Bigfoot. They may be related. It could be Bigfoot's cousin. But the Mongoloid monsters have been seen for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. And this kind of makes them unique in the fact that there have been legends of them going back thousands, going back almost 1,000 years, or almost 500 years, in the Navajo and Apache culture. Now, there are towns in Arizona like Payson and Pine that have embraced this legend. They have it as a major part of their culture and tourism. And the communities often hold festivals and events to celebrate the monster. The monster has yet to show up, but hopefully one day it does. And if it does, it can come and be a guest on the show. I would really like that. Like, seriously, Mongollon Monster, if you're listening, you're always welcome to be a guest. So we're going from the heat of Arizona to finish off our foursome. We're going to visit the Chesapeake Bay. That's right. We're going all the way to Maryland, Chesapeake Bay, to talk about Chessy. Chessy has been reported for decades, I tell you. And here, let's get a look at Chessy real quick, because I'm sure everybody wants to know. Why is my battery saver on? Okay, that's weird. That's going to be a problem. We'll have to look into that later. Chessy has been around for hundreds of years, but let's just look at Chessy real quick. Here we go. Good old Chessy, the Chesapeake Bay monster from Maryland. Take a look at this thing. Look at the size of that thing. Just this massive sea monster. It kind of makes the Loch Ness monster look like a kid's toy, So, when was Chessy first sighted? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Chessy's first appearance. So, the earliest known thing is back in 1936. A military helicopter pilot was flying over what is known as the Bush River when they sighted a large reptilian creature in the water. This creature was much bigger than any shark, whale, or alligator that had ever been seen. And of course, you don't hear about alligators in Maryland because they live down here. He considered it to have a head that resembled a horse. It was unusually dark brown in color, he said. It had small humps along its back with a slender body. It moved in kind of a serpentine motion amongst the waves. Now, it really didn't become publicized until the 1980s, when a couple, Robert and Karen Frew, captured Chessy on video near Kent Island. Now, what their video showed was a brownish object moving side to side like an aquatic snake. It actually aired on television and sparked a wave of interest and curiosity. That's right, Chessy got big in the 80s, just like another cryptid that I've talked about before, the lizard man. So Chessy's was kind of taking care of some of that, taking a bit of some of that 80s, 80s flow right there. Chessy was trying to get into the 80s, just like the lizard man did. And he had video. There was video of Chessy. It was great. Chessy had video. In 1980, several witnesses saw three large triangular humps moving through the water near the Mongollon River. A man named Rosamond Haynes spotted the creature near Prospect Bay, and he was certain it was not a manatee. The creature was seen in the 90s near Fort Smallwood Park. And then again in 2014, where two friends saw Chessy less than 5 feet away from their car on the Mongollon River. Again, they described a snake-like creature, 25 to 30 foot long, with a slender football-shaped head. Now, it goes without saying that there are theories as to what Chessy is. People think the lizard man is a monitor lizard. People think that the white thing was a giant albino gorilla. Okay, people have attributed Bigfoot to being a silverback gorilla. I mean, there's always a theory. So let's look at the theories real quick. For Chessy, some people thought it was a manatee. Others claim that it's a large seal. Yeah, seals don't usually get that big. Come on. They claim that it was a sturgeon, a fish that at most can be 14 pounds when this thing was nearly, 14 feet long, when this thing was nearly 20 to 30 feet long. A mutated eel, because, 6 foot long eels could definitely all of a sudden be 30 foot long. Yeah. Okay. Others claim that it is a prehistoric reptile. It is something from the Cretaceous period that has survived. Perhaps a mosasaur or a plesiosaur, because they used to have elongated heads, sharp teeth, serpentine-like bodies and 4 flippers, and could be up to 50 foot long and weigh as much as 50 tons. To the people of Chesapeake Bay, Chessy's more than just a sea monster. She is an environmental icon. Since 1986, the USS Fish and Wildlife Service has had out a coloring book called Chessy, a Chesapeake Bay story, which tells the story of Chessy as a friendly creature that loves the bay and its wildlife. And understand, Chessy has never really actually attacked anything. The book teaches children about the importance of protecting the bay from pollution and overfishing. And a second book called Chessy Returns was published in 1991. Chessy is kind of a mainstay in the Chesapeake Bay area. And you don't want to go up there and pick a fight with Chessy because, with New York, fighting Chessy means you're going to end up having to fight all of Chesapeake Bay. And you don't want to do that. Those people from Maryland, they get a little hostile, a little crazy. Anyway, that is your 4 stories for today. Hit the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is the more dangerous of the 4 cryptids that we're talking about today? I know Chessy is the biggest, obviously, of the group, but Chessy seems like a big old teddy bear. It's kind of a gentle giant, if you will. Whereas if you look at the Alabama white thing and the Spector Moose, they're both very, very keen to attacking and violence. With the Spector Moose, obviously, taking a while to calm down if you piss it off. So, size versus viciousness, that's a really big thing to consider. Anyway, that's our episode for today. I want to remind you guys to check out Valmont and the Black Raven Chronicles. Episode 3 will be coming out on February 1st. Also, check out our live show that comes out every other weekend on Facebook and soon to be on YouTube and Twitch. Not just paranormal. You guys are going to love that. And, of course, you can find all of your ghost stories here at the Carolina Storyteller, where we're going to share paranormal stories with our guests, and bring the best of the paranormal and history to you. I am the Carolina Storyteller, Jonathan Phoenix. Thank you for listening, and remember, stay spooky, my friends. We'll see you next time.